If you're enjoying Pigoted Podcast, then why not sign up to our Patreon? You can find it at patreon.com/pigoted, and on there you get loads of extra benefits, such as early access to episodes. You get access to Pigoted Extra, which is extra content from our guests, usually about 45 minutes to an hour long of extra content every single week. You get merchandise, you get to ask questions, you get to be part of our Discord community. We have a Discord server where people chat and ask questions and discuss topics that have been brought up on the podcast. You get all that through Patreon, and it starts from just £3 a month. Plus, you'll be supporting the podcast. You'll be helping the podcast to grow, helping us to fund bigger and better guests and to pay for all the editing and that kind of thing. So please, if you are enjoying Pigoted, then think about signing up and becoming a Patreon from just £3 a month over at patreon.com/pigoted. Welcome to Pigoted Podcast. Joining us today is comedian Rob Mulholland. Hi, Rob.
Hello.
And also, as our guest expert, we have Clare. Hi, Clare.
Hey, everyone.
Clare, what is it we are talking about today?
Going to be talking about veganism and plant-based food.
Brilliant. Now, you are a veggie.
I'm vegetarian, not full vegan.
Why aren't you full vegan, Rob? What's wrong with you? Why do you hate animals so much, you fucking prick?
It's because I'm a bit of a shithouse. It is genuinely that. I'm moving towards veganism. It's just taken me a while because it was a big dietary change to go vegetarian.
Do you know what? This sounds like excuses, Claire, quite frankly.
It is total excuses.
Oh, it totally
sounds
is.
like excuses. It's big dietary change. Do you know what? If you cared about the planet, if you cared about the environment even one bit, you'd put your own feelings to one side. You selfish piece of shit.
Which is why I don't eat meat.
Yeah, but that's only half the way there.
Yeah.
Because animals
halfway more than you, isn't it? It's a big half more than you.
I am vegan.
Between meals.
I've been vegan for, 3 minutes now. No, I'm not vegan. I am a meat eater. I'm sorry, Claire. I'm soz.
No judgments, but that might change after this podcast.
It fucking won't.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I've known Freddy a long time. Good fucking luck.
Yeah, I'm not sure what... Yeah, I'm just not... So my mum is vegetarian, right? And she's been vegetarian. She's old. She's in her 60s. She's been vegetarian since she was 15. So she's been vegetarian for 45 years. So it's not like vegetarian now for you.
That's a different thing. Yeah,
this is like back in the day when you said that you were vegetarian and people would be like, you fucking what? What? Do you know what I mean? I've been out with her before where, like, so many times where the only vegetarian option has just been a salad.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all you have.
Yeah. And I mean, it's far less often now, but it still does occasionally happen. And you still like are a massive afterthought. Like...
We've got so much choice now. Like every single
it's a
meal
lot
that
better.
you can ever eat and ever love to eat, there's a vegetarian and plant-based version of it.
But they're not always as good, are they?
Well, that depends where you go.
All right, okay, so vegan cheese is fucking horrible. Let's be fair.
Until you taste the one by Velo Light.
Oh, I've
which
had it. It's
is
fucking
actually
dog shit. I'm sorry. I've had them all. I've tried literally every one. I want to find a vegan cheese that's good. I do.
I can't believe you tried this one and you don't agree with it.
I honestly, I have tried every one because I tried because what got me onto vegetarianism was I tried all the fake meats and I found ones that are good and I managed to replace my diet with that. Cheese, it's really bad. I hate it all.
I agree. Some of them are like plastic. But there is a really good one.
I've tried that. I just don't rate it.
For me, is a great replacement.
Yeah, it just doesn't work for me. But I'm trying them all, and they will get there. Science will get there, but they haven't yet.
Why did you become vegetarian?
Well, it was a big change for me because I was a massive meat eater. Like, if you'd have asked me 3 years ago my favourite foods, I would have given you a list of meats. But then you got a girlfriend and became a pussy. Nah, it wasn't even that, man. It was I had a massive acid trip, right?
Right.
Where I had this moment where I was thinking about I'd been to the Sea Life Centre that day and really bonded with an octopus. And then I was sat on the beach. This is all true.
No,
genuinely.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you bonded with an octopus.
Really, the Sea Life Centre in Brighton has the saddest octopus in it. It's just because they're so intelligent octopuses. We can't genuinely
They are supremely intelligent.
We have no idea how smart they are, and it's just so depressed, this octopus, and it bummed me the fuck out. And I was sat on the beach afterwards thinking about it. And I had this sort of like, when you're like tripping like that, you have these sort of like revelatory sort of moments where it almost feels like you're talking something out with yourself, but it's your own mind, obviously.
Or the supreme mind.
Or the supreme mind.
God.
I don't believe that myself. A lot of people do.
Hang about. We can't just drop that in. What's the supreme? What's the supreme mind?
Well, it's a higher consciousness, isn't it? Something that's guiding us in every single moment, especially when you're working with a psychedelics. The field's open and something's dropped in. Want your heart open because you made a connection to another sentient being.
Yeah.
And then the universe or some higher force or your own inner guidance said, actually,
this is
really
it.
cool.
So like I was just thinking about that, and then I was just thinking on that, and there was like this sort of thought of like, well, why do you eat animals then? And I was like, don't think about that. And then the thought just came over me. It's like, because you know the answer.
But you understand. But you understand the connection that you made with that octopus. Like, I would say that's not a connection that you made. That's entirely within your own mind. It's not a genuine connection.
I don't know.
When people say I made a connection with an animal or whatever, it's always a positive one. It's never, I made a connection with this octopus and he called me a fucking prick.
Well, it didn't seem like pleased with me.
If you see a child crying or a child fall over and hurt herself, would you feel compassion for that child?
No.
This is the problem of what you're dealing with.
I'm really sorry. It's not my
child.
child.
Have you got any animal, any pets?
Yes, I have a dog.
You do?
I have a dog.
This is the weak spot.
That's the weak spot.
Okay.
Right there.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So,
if your dog was suffering, you come down, he was really sick, he was at death's door, and you wanted to help him.
That has happened before. My dog has got epilepsy.
Yeah.
And he had.
Why didn't you just hit it with a brick and put it in a sandwich?
Well, sorry. Because there's bones, and eating through those bones in a sandwich would be inconvenient.
So
Robert,
blend it then.
I didn't have a blender. I didn't think my NutriBullet would be up to the job. Yeah. Anywho, he has epilepsy, and when he had his first epileptic fit, he nearly died, and now I have to give him medicine twice a day. Yes, I very much love my dog, and I have compassion to my dog. However, me having compassion to an animal doesn't have to extend to all animals. Like
it doesn't, but it can do, and that's what happened to.
Essentially, yeah,
I think,
essentially that. Just the divide between, we have this sort of idea of there's a clean split between humans and animals, and that divide dissolved for me, and that's what ruined. That's what stopped me being able to.
What would be the clean split? What would that constitute?
There isn't one. It's entirely false.
I think that there is a clean split.
In what way? Well, how?
Oh, I'm going to get shouted at.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
I'm going to get shouted at.
Explain. Why do you think there is that divide?
I think that human beings are better than animals. I think better is the best word to use.
In what way?
So I don't feel like they. I don't feel. The same level of. I'm trying to pick my words really carefully. The first word that came into my mind then was respect, and I feel like that's probably the wrong word to use. I don't think that humans and animals are the same. I don't think they are equal. I don't think that they are afforded equal rights. Or
they're definitely not now.
Anything. No, but I don't think that they should be. I'm so sorry. I don't because
based on what?
Based on the fact that they're animals.
Right, but we're animals.
You what, sorry?
But we're animals.
That have evolved to the point of being human beings. Yeah, you don't want to get eaten, evolve quicker, you dicks.
We've evolved, and then now we persecute another sentient being for our own nourishment.
Yeah. What?
That's our evolution.
It's not even for nourishment.
We torture animals every single day of our life. But 60 billion sentient beings a year get slaughtered.
But what do you mean by sentient? What do you mean by sentient, Claire? Like, how do we define
what's
feelings and emotions?
You're connecting to your dog, and it gives you love, and you give the dog love, and you feel it, and it loves being stroked, and you watch it chasing a ball. That's a relationship with a sentient being of love.
No, but I mean, what do we describe as sentience?
A living being
with thoughts and feelings and emotions and empathy.
I would, hang about a minute.
Animals have empathy.
So when you say thoughts and feelings and emotions and empathy, how complex do these emotions have to be? Like, for example, a dog doesn't feel ennui. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they do.
No, they bloody don't.
Do you not pay any attention to your dog?
Do they fucking balls as like...
Yeah, like dogs can get depressed.
They can totally get depressed. They can get
have anxiety
sicknesses as human beings as well.
thoughts and feelings.
I actually went to a sanctuary, a dog sanctuary once, and they all had different illnesses because they had been abandoned by their owners.
Yeah. Imagine a dog lying on a psychiatrist's couch. How you been feeling this week? Rough. Thank you, Claire. Come on, give us a fist bump. That was a fucking great joke. Right, so I had a hamster once, right? I had a hamster called Weetabix. You're going to make a food joke. Go on, do it.
I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it.
Go on, make a food joke.
I'm leaving it.
Oh, he's so fat. He names animals food. Go on.
I'm just amazed it was after a cereal rather than something deep fried.
So you can deep fry Weetabix. It's delicious. So I had a hamster called Weetabix, right? Lived for a couple of years, as hamsters often do. And then we went on holiday. We left it with my granddad. And then when we came back, the hamster wasn't eating. The hamster wasn't doing anything. My granddad didn't do anything to the hamster, right? We took the hamster to the vets. And the vet said, oh, the hamster's got depression, right? Now, I still to this day believe that we took it in at like 5 to 5, and the vet was like, I want to get home and watch fucking Bargain or whatever.
I don't believe that. I think inside you're telling us that story because you know the hamster had depression because it missed you.
I don't
abandoned it for 2 weeks.
I don't think hamsters are cognitively developed enough to have depression.
Based on what? Because the person with the with the scientific qualification to become a vet tells you one thing, and you go, and fuck off, I'm a comedian who knows nothing. I reckon I know better.
And I was in the room when a vet looked at a 2-year-old hamster that was on its way out, couldn't be arsed, and went, depression, maybe. Honestly, how long does it take a human being to be diagnosed with depression? A long time. You're telling me this vet can just look at a hamster and go, yeah, it's depressed, that, mate. Shut the fuck up.
I think it probably looked at you and went, if he was living with that, he's going to be depressed.
Well, look, one of the reasons I went vegetarian is because of that story that you're referring to. I went traveling around South America. I went traveling around Thailand first, and I was a meat eater when I went. And when I came back, I wasn't, because I went around all different islands, and on different islands, there's animals everywhere. Not like here where everything's on a lead. There was just cows and pigs and sheep and dogs, and on all different islands, and hens. And I actually got to see them in their natural habitat where they have got emotions and feelings.
Also as well, I've been to Thailand as well, and most of Asia.
Very different trip, I imagine.
Over there, they don't necessarily treat animals with maybe the same, how would you say, levels of respect. So, for example, in Indonesia, it is quite common to watch people just booting dogs. And the reason being is because there's a lot of stray dogs, especially in Bali and places like that. There's a lot of stray dogs. And I was told that they believe that dogs are the reincarnated souls of people who were cunts in their previous lives.
Brilliant. But so
they're just giving him a little kick up the arse.
How could you think dogs were bad? They're like the nicest vibes going. Like, that's mental. Like,
when you go onto the islands in Thailand, you won't see that. There's animals living on the island, and the dogs actually protect the island. They make sure everyone gets home okay. All the animals live together. There's no cat chasing a dog and a sheep chasing a cow. Everyone, they all live together, and that's what I loved about it. And I also got to see families of animals, hens and the little baby chickens and the mother chickens in their dynamics as a family, with emotions, with feelings, playing with their little brothers and sisters. And that's what cracked my heart open.
Well, what I would
get into yours.
What I would say, Claire, is that you are anthropomorphizing the animals. You are putting your own human thoughts and feelings and emotions and projecting them onto the animals, and you are seeing things that aren't actually really there. So when we look at a dog, or you know what, a dog is a pretty poor example because it's, you know, seen as quite an intelligent animal. People have a dog. Let's say you look at a pig or something like that,
if anything, more intelligent.
Yeah,
than a dog.
I know. Well, yeah, I know, but it's not what.
Deeply complex.
People don't have
relationships within their families.
People don't have like pigs as pets, do they? So it's not the same, you know, sort of dynamic.
That's only because we've created that dynamic. Yeah.
What do you mean with?
Well, the pigs live on the land. If you go to a farmland, pigs do live on the land. And some people, you can go on YouTube now and find someone that does have a pig living in their family unit. It's only because we've created that structure here to say dogs are okay, but pigs can go on the plate.
Sure. I mean, people have got all sorts of weird pets and stuff like that. But I mean, is it like, because I mean, I sort of like, you know, this is a common sort of argument that gets thrown, I think, is, well, if you'd eat a pig, then why won't you eat a dog? And it's like, well, I would eat a dog. Like, if I lived in China, I'd probably have tried dog at some point. It's just because in Western cultures, we see pigs as food and we don't see dogs as food.
But also in this culture, we see meat as food and we don't have to. I don't know. I don't think that stacks up.
When you say we don't have to see meat as food...
Well, yeah, that's also a cultural choice, isn't it?
In what way?
Well, to consume meat.
But would we be able to sustain the whole planet on
more so?
Yeah,
we'd thrive more than we would right now in this moment.
Because the amount of energy we use on feeding animals
5
to then
times
kill
more
them,
resources.
it's a really inefficient way of getting nutrition.
So, are we saying that? Are we saying that veganism is the more ethical choice because it's kinder to animals, or because it's kinder to the planet, or both? Both.
And also, it improves our health dramatically when we go back to the food that the earth gives us. So there's a multitude of benefits from eating more plant-based food and not eating other sentient beings.
Okay, like what?
Well, if you look at our digestive system, for one, I know people who've gone plant-based and they've had a colonic 10 years later and the flesh of an animal's come out. That flesh corrodes and putrefies in your system and actually clogs up your digestive system, which allows you to absorb all the nutrients. And a lot of people are eating meat and sacrificing the nutritive value from the food from the earth, so they're deficient in nutrients. Now, just like your car, if you go out and there's no oil in it or no water, it doesn't run properly.
Did you mention nutrients from the air?
Yes, from the food that the earth gives us.
Oh, the earth. Oh, I thought you said the air.
No, well, air is nutritious as well. It's got oxygen in it, but the food from the earth is what gives us our nutrients, what sustains our body, what gives us health and well-being.
Where the energy from meat comes from is from the plants that the animal eats. It's the energy from that is stored within the animal.
What I would argue is that there's loads of things that are healthy for us that I don't do. So I am, you're meant to exercise a lot. I don't fucking bother.
Yeah, but
you're meant to.
Your lack of exercise only affects your health, whereas eating meat affects everyone else's health and the health of the animal.
In what way does it affect everyone else's health?
It's because meat's like one of the biggest contributing factors to environmental change. It's environmental destruction. The Amazon rainforest is constantly cut down in order to grow beef in like farms there.
Okay,
that has an impact on the world's health.
But so does driving.
Yeah,
and you drive all over the country.
Yeah,
so
I do. Yeah, which is another reason why I went vegetarian.
But if you were concerned about it, then you wouldn't drive all over the country. You'd get another job. You'd work from home.
That's not really how the modern world works. And look, I'm not looking to judge anyone here.
I am.
Everyone's individual impact on the world is so minute that I think you can only do what you can. Do what's if you're making positive steps, then brilliant. I don't think anyone could live a perfectly ethical life in modern society. You can't. It's impossible. The system is
best.
You can do
to be in integrity and in
exactly, but you can only go so far. My phone was made in horrific conditions. Yeah. There are loads of ways in which you are unethically pure, totally, but that doesn't mean that you don't try. And that some things can't be better.
But why would you try? What's the benefit of trying?
It's purely selfish for me, really.
Oh, okay.
It makes me feel good to not eat meat.
Because I don't feel any responsibility to not eat meat based on a climate change issue. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is because I know full well that if one big factory was to close 5 minutes early one day, then it would save more pollution than I could do in my lifetime. And so, therefore, I don't believe that the onus on climate change should be on the individual. I think it should be on...
Sure, but the factory will close if no one's buying the products. The idea that because it's big companies that largely do the polluting, that it's not in any way our responsibility, I think is a little bit false, because we're buying the products, we're using them in order to keep those companies going. Those companies wouldn't be polluting if there was no market for their stuff.
And if everyone stood up with that attitude, we wouldn't evolve at all. We wouldn't move forward, and we wouldn't be helping the planet in any way, shape or form, because we just keep passing the buck to the big corporate chains. We have to stand up and take responsibility for our lives and for the planet, because if we don't, who will?
But there's different ways that we can help the planet, isn't there? So, for example, and we had a climate change expert on where we talked about this for a while, is there's two ways that you can look at solving the climate change issue. The first is to reduce your own carbon footprint and collectively reduce all of our carbon footprints. But the second way is to advance your technological research to the point where advances in technology can undo some of the damage.
We need to do both.
And I believe that the second is much, much more feasible than the first.
Sure, but it'd be a lot easier to do that if there was less pollution created. You know what I mean? It would be easier to clean it up.
Well, again, I think it's down to big corporations. I think it's down to big corporations to take the book on there. And I think that, personally, I think that going vegan in order to solve climate change is the equivalent of turning up to an earthquake with a dustpan and brush and going, I've got this bit.
But isn't that better than just not turning up at all?
No.
There is many other factors though to not eating animals as your sustenance, because you've got the health benefits that come from eating plant-based food. And I run a health shop, so I know people get sick and get congested and get polluted and get inflamed and get blocked up and end up with all sorts of health issues. Inflammation leads to all sorts of disease and illness. Right now on this planet, like, we have to start looking at our immune system and putting everything in our bodies to give us a healthy, vibrant energy field and energetic system.
What's your energy field?
Well, it's where you get your energy from. Everything that goes into our body is energy. So do you ever run out of energy? Do you ever get tired, feel knackered?
After every wank.
Well, then you're not doing it properly.
Fucking love Claire. All right. Okay. Yeah, I do get tired. I do get tired.
Yeah, so that's your energy system. So we say, I'm knackered, I'm tired, I haven't got the energy. People get a flag at 12 or a flag at 2 o'clock. They get home, they're knackered, they're running on empty, they're on stimulants like coffees and alcohol, anything to suppress the stress in the body and anything to increase the energy. Whereas if you get back to the food where the actual true energy is, the nutrients and the vitamins and the minerals the earth gives us, that's going to sustain your energy system, which means your immune system will be strong and you are more likely to fight off any viruses coming into your field or illnesses.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned this because I have said on many times that I have got a incredible immune system and I don't get sick, right? Good. And whenever I say this, people always take the piss with they never believe it, basically, because I don't look after my body. I'm not a healthy person. I believe you're just
storing all of them up for one massive illness. Like, you might not get the fucking sniffles, but when you're in about 3 years, you're going to get massive bowel cancer. And then you fucked it.
And I've got my Edinburgh show sorted for that. So the reason that I think, so basically I don't get sick ever. I had COVID but didn't even notice. I've just I don't know what it is. I've been sick twice in my adult life. Once I had bronchitis when I was a teenager. I was about 14, 15. And once I had a viral infection that lasted maybe a few days. But other than that, by and large, I just don't get ill. And I think the reason being is because when I was a baby, I had whooping cough and I nearly died. And I think that my immune system had to respond to that very early on in my child body development or whatever, and I've just carried with me a stronger immune system forever. But I don't take any supplements. I don't do. I have vitamin D over the winter. I take a little fucking dabble of vitamin D over the winter. That's it.
Well, that's true. I totally agree with you. You've got a strong constitution. If you're not sick all the time, you definitely could have a strong constitution. And some people unfortunately don't have that. They suffer all the time with illnesses and stress and inflammation, and they spend their life suffering. And as they get older, it's more suffering. You are lucky enough to be able to say I've got a strong constitution. Another spin on that, I had someone come into my shop. He'd never been sick for 20 years. The first time he went to the doctor, he had stage 4 cancer, and they told him he only had a few months left to live because his immune system had switched itself off. No, his immune system has switched itself off. So there is always two aspects to it, but I would say, looking in your eyes, you have got a strong immune system.
Oh, Claire, is this flirting?
You've got a strong immune system. You can tell by your energy, you have actually got a strong constitution.
How old are you, Claire?
It does mean that as you get older, though, you do need to look after yourself, because that might not be the case in 10 years' time when diabetes, joint problems, arthritis.
Are you just talking so I can't flirt with you?
Stop a minute. I'm totally putting up the shield so you can't flirt with me.
Just rolling off stuff.
Shutting it down.
How old are you, Claire?
44.
Cool. Well, we'll leave it there. You look great though for
great
44.
on that. Really, do like genuinely.
You look fantastic. Yeah. I'd put you at like early 30s. Wow.
It's the food I eat. And also I do
and
breath
I'd put
work,
you
and
at
it's
about
the food
56.
Stone. I've heard it. I've heard it. And so I mean, here's another thing, right? So I feel like our attitude to food is different. So I feel like you eat food for sustenance and fuel and shit like that, and I eat it just because it tastes nice. And I couldn't give a shit if it like fills me with, you know, the nutrients that I need to have a nice poo or whatever. I just eat it because I like eating food.
Well, that's because you're not sick as well. But if you were sick, then you might shift and start to give a fuck what's going into your body.
Have you been sick, Clare? Is that why? Like, have you been sick in the past? And then
No. I've just.
You're just
what
I
wanted to do is I've seen sickness. I've seen people ill with sickness. Look at the cancer rates. Look at autoimmune disease. I look around and see a world of suffering as well as a world of beauty. And I went travelling years ago to study with the indigenous people and travel around the world to see how other people live, to get a deeper understanding of what causes illness. Like that was what I went traveling for a year around South America. I went to meet some shamanic medicines in the jungle and asked, why do people get sick? Where does cancer come from? And this is the teachings I got.
So what did they say? Where did they say cancer came from?
Many different things. But one of the things she did is she took me to a raw food retreat called Baha'i Kalipai, where I studied food and I got to understand what that was. Life force energy, nourishment, vitality, rejuvenation, healing for the body. And it's in its natural form.
What's life force energy again?
Life force energy is basically the sun comes down, goes into the food, and the food grows, and it holds the sun's energy. It's called life force energy. You can actually see it on a Carillion camera when you beam
What's
this.
A Carillion camera?
It's a certain camera that picks up light frequencies. Okay. So you could get an apple straight off a tree and take a picture of it, and you'd see a light around it called an auric field, which we also have because we're also breathing in the sun's energy. It's like when we get tired and deficient, or you see someone who's sick, they look grey and ashen, and they start to lose their life force. I can see when people are carrying a really bad illness because I can see in their body they're so depleted in life force energy. They get grey, darkness under their eyes, they're very shallow, the energy field is very low. But if you left that apple there and then filmed it a day later, you'd start to see the light going out of it as it starts to deplete itself because it's been picked off the tree.
Okay, so the food that's on the tree is connected to the ground in a way, so that means it stores its life force better.
Yeah, it gives all the energy goes up the tree to make the fruit, and then it offers it to us when it's at its ripest and it's holding the most amount of nutrients. Isn't that beautiful?
I'd have a different word beginning with B for it, Claire. That'd be bollocks. I don't know about this, Claire. I'm just.
I think you're describing a real thing in terms that I wouldn't necessarily like, because like there are.
I don't know, me. I just think
it's all energy in it. It's all energy in it. Like you're transferring the chemical energy within the food into yourself, and that comes from like light and nutrients in the ground being mixed into it.
To be fair, I think as well, I'm learning about this for the first time in a podcast studio in Runcorn. If I was in the middle of the jungle with a shamanic priest and they were telling me this, I'd be like, sold. Do you know what I mean?
Be honest with you.
Because it's all like...
To be honest with you, I'd kind of believe that less. Like, I just think, like, if you're a bloke who lives in the woods, like...
There's more to it than that. Come on.
Is there though? Where's his fucking degree? Right,
mate. Come on. You're making a shamanic priest sound like Ray Mears.
That wasn't what came from the jungle.
No, I know.
I worked in a raw food retreat for 4 months, and I watched people come in with illness and suffering and stress and go out. Some people after just a week of staying and living on that food and having a bit of time to relax, and they just looked 10 years younger
because they needed
and they were glowing.
Holiday.
Yeah, of course they did.
I'm sorry,
and they needed nutrients.
I'm with you on a load of stuff. It's just I also really believe in the scientific method, and I'd love to see some research on these things. I'd like to see some actual data rather than anecdotes.
Do you know what it is?
Do
you know what it is though? Is like it clearly. Something works. Do you know what I mean?
Like eating good,
so
yourself,
I'm sticking up for Claire with this one. I know I said it was bollocks at the beginning.
I think we're coming from the same thing from a different angle. I think that's what that is.
Something works. So I mean, part of me think look, I don't believe an apple stores life force or whatever. I just don't. It just doesn't.
Do you believe chemical energy though?
What? Sorry,
I think chemical energy is saying the same thing.
But having said that,
you see it on a camera. It's scientific evidence. I'm not making something up. You can actually prove it to you.
But having said that, though, whether or not I believe it is kind of it's neither here nor there. It doesn't really matter. What matters is, does it work? And if you have this certain diet and you eat it and it is healthy for you and it works for you, then what does it matter if it's life force or it's sunshine or it's something from the soil or you just feel better? What does it matter? Like, the proof is in the pudding, innit?
Right.
And so I can get on board with that. Going back to the whole meat thing, I would imagine then that animals store life force really rather well, what with them being alive. And if they have
but they're not when
auras
you
and stuff.
Them, are they?
You what?
They're not when you eat them.
Yeah, but when you pick the apple off the tree, the apple dies. The apple ceases to become a living thing.
The apple's not a sentient being, though, is it? With the feelings and emotions. The apple is given to us by nature. It comes off, all the food grows out of the earth. Where does the food come from? Well, comes out of the earth for us to eat.
Well, when we talk about feelings and emotions, how complex do the emotions have to be in order to have sentience? Because a mouse doesn't feel
anything that's living and breathing.
But a mouse doesn't feel deja vu, does it?
It still feels. If you watch a mouse with its family and the way they play, they're so intelligent mice.
So a mouse, like,
it has the ability to solve problems. It has interpersonal relationships in their families.
Can grow an extra ear.
You know what I mean? Like there is more to it than, like, it's definitely more sentient than an apple.
But okay, but plants. If you put a plant in a dark room with one fucking light source, the plant will grow to the light source.
But if you put it in a maze, it's not going to find its way to the end.
But if you put it in,
it's growing towards a light source, isn't it? Thinking, oh, the light's over there, I best go to it. It's just attracted to it. It's a chemical process. It's not
because it's trying to get the food in it. So why is that not sentient?
You know it's not.
Yeah, but why?
I'm not like, you're going to speak to a psychologist
an apple
here
against an animal that's living and breathing and running around.
You know there's a difference there.
But what I'm saying is where's the line? Because for me personally, just having a thought process doesn't qualify as enough sentience for me to care about.
So there's no difference between a pear and a pig, but there is a massive difference between a person and a chimp. That's what you're saying. There's a line between there.
No, I'm
not there.
I'm saying where is the line? That's the thing. So I'm saying where is the line? So
between plants and animals.
So for me,
there is a clear definition between a plant and an
animal kingdom.
Well,
there's the line.
Well, that's interesting because you put the line between plants and animals.
Yeah.
I put the line between animals and people.
But people are animals. We are part of the animal kingdom.
But we've evolved past that.
No, we haven't.
No, we've evolved past...
Tell you where we've evolved to. We've evolved to a state of consciousness where we can be aware of our effects on our environment, and we can also think of different things to eat that aren't meat. We've evolved so far, we've now got a duty of care to the rest of the planet because we understand it.
What do you mean we have a duty of care?
What do you mean? Like
I don't know what that means.
It means that we shouldn't fuck it all up because we understand that we're fucking it up.
But in terms of, again, we've already gone through the climate change side of things.
Also, like, for me personally, like, climate change is way down the list of my priorities with it. It's the death and the killing. I don't want to be part of that. And honestly, once your brain, like, my brain just changed on it, and I saw meat for what it was, and I walked past the butcher's shop, and I was horrified.
Yeah, me too.
It's corpses. You're eating corpses.
So
it's
hang
gross.
About. So this
if I came home and found a corpse in my kitchen, I'd be mortified. Like, you're gonna have one on your fucking plate. Weird.
So. Here's another thing that does my head in, is when people say meat is murder, and it's not.
It's a dead animal that's been slaughtered for you to eat, so where does the not murder come into it? Did that animal say, take my life, it's okay, I don't mind?
So the literal definition of murder is between people. So
that's only because a person's made that up.
Okay, yeah, but I don't think they're using it literally. It's a rhetorical device, Freddy.
So if you want to talk about how... maybe the definition of murder should be expanded to include animals.
If I went and killed your dog right now, would you say that wasn't murder? Would you just say, it was just...
Well, it's not murder. It's literally not murder.
Because
the definition of murder is people killing people. It's literally.
Okay,
I mean,
in the dictionary, what I'm saying, if I killed your dog, what would you say that?
Are you saying that? Are you saying that we should expand the definition of murder to include animals?
Well, you can use the dictionary all you want. We're basically saying we understand that when an animal's killed, for us it's murder, and that's our belief system. You've got a different belief system, I guess.
I would just say killing animals is
bad.
I don't care what word you put on it. It doesn't
exactly.
matter. The word is not important at all.
We just don't want animals to suffer.
It's just a slogan, man. What you're doing there is exactly the same as when people go, they're kneeling for Black Lives Matter, which is a political group. Just because they've got the same words doesn't mean it's the same thing.
What I'm saying, don't you fucking try and throw me under the bus with the Black Lives Matter shit.
Racist! You're a racist!
You bacon-loving racist. So you see what he did there? It's very clever. A little bit of sleight of hand. It's almost like a conversational ninja technique then. You just, what you're doing is racism. Yeah. No, so here's the thing, right, is meat is by definition not murder. If you want to change the definition to include animals,
no one cares.
Then
no one cares about this point.
But I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting point.
Because it's an interesting point for a way to deflect the discussion.
Yeah.
Is the problem? It's not what we're talking. We don't care about the word murder.
I don't
doesn't
think
matter.
So I don't think there's ethically. I don't think there's anything wrong with killing an animal for meat.
Why?
Have you seen the videos on how they suffer, how they actually do it, and how they suffer?
Don't care. I know it's horrible, but I just don't. Whatever empathy that other people have, I don't have it. Because, so people say to me, could you kill an animal? Could you kill a chicken? Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Because for whatever reason, and I know it makes me sound horrible, I am totally detached from that. I don't look at an animal and see a living sentient thing.
Not even your dog?
Unless it's a pet of mine.
Right.
But then again, the reason, I mean, I'm more than happy to admit that probably the reason that I have a bond with my dog is due to me projecting anthropomorphic qualities onto it. So I probably think that, my dog is, more of a person-like animal than other things, but that's because I spend time with it and project my thoughts and feelings and emotions onto it.
If you spent an hour with pigs, you would, like, that was a big part of what
if I spent an hour with pigs, I'd still kill them. Still would. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think, you know what, you underestimate the power of your heart, Freddie, because once you spend time in nature, where it just happens, like it just happened for you, it just happened for me, because I was in nature, I was with the animals, I wasn't thinking about it, it just happened, I just felt a connection to them, and that was it, I couldn't go back. And I'm holding a prayer right now that happens to you one day.
the fact that you love one animal. Because
he's got a dog and he loves it.
Exactly.
It's potential
the fact that you
there.
love one is the starting point. Honestly, I think we should do a little extra. Me and you go to a farm and I introduce you to animals and you make friends with them.
And then at the end, I slaughter everyone. Give me that taser. Come here. What are we doing this? Normal or halal style? Get it up on the fucking sides.
Well, honestly, for me,
you spent a day at a mortuary, at a reservoir.
Abattoir.
A reservoir.
A reservoir. It sounds like a lovely afternoon.
An abattoir. I don't think you'd be thinking that at all. I think you'd be probably quite traumatized.
I've watched all the videos, watched all of them. I've had people send me them and go, look at this, and I watch every single one. And to be honest with you, I want to feel something for it. I want to go, oh gosh, yeah, that's really bad. Again, at no point does it do anything for me. And I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'd honestly,
it's the only way you can eat meat is if you have that attitude and if you feel like that. Like, it's the only way. It cracked for me, and like there aren't any like highfalutin particular morals behind it. So I genuinely now. I got given a burrito that had meat in when I didn't know, and like it was insane. I hadn't eaten meat for like a year.
Tasty,
and I bit into it, and it just tastes of death so strongly. It's horrible. Yeah. It was really weird. It made me feel sick. It's so weird. Yeah, man. It made me like I was retching.
Do you know what?
It was really weird.
I actually think that as repulsive as you might find my moral compass, I actually think that my morals are more palatable than most people, because what most people do is they go, killing animals is wrong, suffering to animals is wrong, but bacon's really tasty.
Yeah. At least you're straight up about it.
That's true. At least you're honest.
At least I'm like, well, I don't give a shit.
I mean, it is like if Ian Huntley had fessed up straight away, though. it's a very minor tick in your column, isn't it?
comparing me
Don't compare that to that.
Stop comparing me to serial killers and people who hate Black Lives Matter. I'm being slid into these fucking camps here before I even know what's going on.
I'm actually on your side on this one.
Yeah, fuck him. Let's gang up on this prick. Right. So yeah, I just can't.
Look, the way I see it as well is we are going through a big awakening, and that's we've awakened to the fact we don't want to eat animals because we care. That's our awakening. It comes to us all, and it will eventually come to everyone on the planet because we're in what is called the Great Awakening. You've listened to all the prophecies, whether you believe this or not. This is just my belief system, and it's all about unity consciousness, where we all come together and live in harmony with each other, and that's not going to happen until we stop slaughtering animals. And I will just say this right now, this last thing is that I truly believe in my lifetime, in the next 50 years, we will stop eating animals or killing them in the most inhumane way that we are doing, because it has to shift. The only way we can live, how can we live in peace on the planet and when there's war going on, when we're doing that to when we've got animals in a slave race?
Do you know what? You might be onto something in terms of the next 50 years. I don't think we'll ever eradicate people eating meat totally, because I think it's so ingrained in our society.
Lab-grown meat might replace it though.
But I'll tell you this, the swing of, like, especially in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
The swing's been enormous. If you'd have told year 2000 me that there was going to be vegan options in every single fast food restaurant in the fucking country, you'd have been laughed out of town.
If you told me 4 years ago I'd be vegetarian, I would have told you to fuck right off. But like, also, like, for me, like, convenience is unfortunately for me a really big factor. I'm really bad at eating properly. Like, I always have been. I eat really disorderly. I eat at bad times. I don't grab things right. So now that it's convenient enough that I can do it, if I can do it, I genuinely think anyone could be vegetarian, because it's fucking easy. You just buy a different bag of nuggets. Like, that's all it is, and they're still dead nice.
Yeah, you know? It's so easy for us to make that shift right now, but it comes down
to a shit diet. Talk to me about the Great Awakening. What's the Great Awakening?
Well, the Great Awakening is where we start to wake up as a human race and start to realise that we have to stand up and do what's right for the planet and for each other, and put an end to war and suffering. I mean, look what's going on in Afghanistan, and just the people on the planet that have got no homes, no food and no water, and then the amount of waste, especially in the West and in our lifestyles, that we consume so much of everything, and there's so much waste. And then there's people on the other side of the planet that can't even feed their children. Like, there's a child on the street right now that has not even got any food or water, and our fridges are full and abundant, and it's wrong. Like, we as the people need to stand up and realise we're all part of this earth, we're all connected, we're all human beings here to enjoy this planet, and we need to start looking after one another. And that is what I call the Great Awakening, where we start to wake up to what's right and what's wrong, and do what needs to be done, and come together as a human race, as a human family, one family of earth.
I think that's lovely, and I'm with you, but I unfortunately think we're massively in the minority, and I don't think it'll. I don't know if I'm quite as optimistic as you that it'll happen. I agree it's necessary. I don't see it myself.
It's happening anyway, whether we see it or not. It's actually happening.
It's happening to a lot of people. I also think there's a lot against as well. There's just a lot more.
So much coming up. Yeah, there's so much coming up.
I always just think, and maybe this is me being skeptical and cynical, but I always think that human beings will find a reason to divide and turn into tribes. I think that whether or not that opinion is based on, countries or religions or races or whatever, I think that our natural state is tribal. And I think that we evolved looking after our own little tribe and fuck everything else. And I just think that I don't think that we have it in as a species to cooperate on a global level. If we did, it'd be bloody lovely. Yeah. It'd be dead nice. However, I think that there is way more that divides us than unites us, unfortunately. And so...
Well, it doesn't help when the media push division all the time and do everything they can to separate us. If those that run the government were actually helping people get together and guiding them on how to live in harmony and how to live in community and how to live with the earth, then we wouldn't have a problem.
Well, that's very true.
The people who want to do that will never get in power because of the way the system's designed.
The narrative is all about divide and conquer.
It's very true, but what I would say is that division has been around for far longer than the mass media has been. So, you know.
You talk about tribes, saying that tribes just look after themselves. Not my experience. Tribes, indigenous tribes, they have their tribe, their community, but they honour other communities. They honour the land, they honour the animals. They're not living in war with each other. Yeah,
but those tribes in like Brazil or whatever that have never seen like human, sorry, they've never seen like the modern world or whatever, and every time a helicopter comes over and they fucking throw. Did you know?
You're basing this on, like...
No, this is a real thing. So there's it's a real thing. There's tribes in Brazil and in really remote indigenous places. Yeah. When they see a helicopter, they chuck spears at it. Yeah. There was a dude who, this was a couple of years ago. There's a guy who made contact with one of these indigenous tribes, and they killed him and ripped his face off, didn't they?
I don't know if that's true. If you read it on the news or watched it on the news, probably not true.
I think you're conflating the story of there's an island in the middle of the Pacific that has a tribe where basically when people turn up, they're not friendly to them because one guy turned up a long time ago and tried to convert them to Christianity in brutal ways. So now they're like, fuck right off. So someone tried to go on the island a couple of years ago and got shot with arrows after being warned a lot of times.
Well, a lot of times as well, the indigenous tribes are living on their land, and you've got the armies and the people in power coming in just taking their land off them.
Yeah.
When they've lived on that land and have communities built there and they've been thrown out of their community.
Oh, yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that that's wrong. But again, I just don't see a way of uniting everybody. I think that there's way too much difference and stuff like that. And maybe that's just me being cynical, but I don't think that there's anything that you can do or any combination of things that you could do that could bring everybody together.
Yeah, I think that might be a slightly lofty aim to start with, but we can certainly make small steps on the way, and I think that's important to do. And then enough small steps gets you there eventually, don't they? So
I mean, I just focus on your own journey and focus on doing what you can to be a better person, and everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, that's a really good philosophy. Yeah,
do what you can for you, because every time you heal something in you or you expand your consciousness, it helps the whole of this conscious collective anyway. Yeah. Well, I do believe there's a great awakening, and I do trust in God's plan, and I think that we're going to see some massive shifts on this planet over the next 10 years, like just shifts that we wouldn't even believe we were going to witness, because we wouldn't have believed we were going to witness this last 2 years.
Yeah, that's very true.
I think we better hold on and put our seatbelts on.
I fucking hope you're right. I really genuinely do.
A roller coaster ride, and the outcome, I think, at the end will be a better world that we live in.
I really hope you. I love your optimism. I genuinely do.
I worry about.
I sound sarcastic all the time. I'm genuinely not being at all.
I feel it.
His life force is all over the fucking place, isn't it?
I'm genuinely not being that. I think that's a beautiful.
You've got a pervert's aura. That's what you. That's what you've got.
I wish you were wrong.
Do you know what I worry about is like basic commodities like water and stuff like that. So that is something that I am concerned about. I think that there will be a point where that becomes scarce.
Right, so we should probably stop wasting it on farming animals just for people to
less showers.
That's not what you need. Let's be real though. Like the only reason to eat meat is for personal pleasure. Like a big point for me was like the division that people make between like trophy hunting and eating meat is so false, because people are like, well, they're only trophy hunting for their fun. Well, I'm eating meat for sustenance, but you're not.
No,
because, we're not eating meat and we're sustaining ourselves perfectly well. Better, if anything.
Yeah,
so it's not for sustenance, it's for pleasure. I disagree
with that.
It's for pleasure. It's only for your pleasure.
I think that there is a clear and definite difference between killing an animal for the fuck of it and killing an animal to use it.
I think it's different if you need to. Like, I would never judge. It's like, you know, if someone steals a loaf of bread because they're starving, I don't think that should be that's not someone who I would judge. Same if you are starving to death and you kill a chicken and eat it, that's different to being someone who it goes into McDonald's and chooses the Big Mac rather than the veggie wrap. That's not you sustaining yourself, is it?
Well, yes, it is.
Yeah, but you're choosing to do that because
I'm choosing to eat something I like over something that I don't like.
You're choosing your pleasure, not the sustenance. Because if you're choosing the sustenance,
I'm choosing the base of it is sustenance, but I'm choosing a sustenance.
But they're
both
I like, sustenance. You're choosing your pleasure, which involves death.
But again, the base of that is sustenance.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because it's equal. So like you're making a choice of two things that sustain you.
Yeah.
This one's more pleasurable, but involves death and suffering.
Yep.
You're like, I'll have that one.
Yep.
So it's only for your own pleasure at the
No, it's not only. That's why you're making a choice of sustenance based on my own pleasure. No.
But there's these two options.
There's not an only part. There's not. It's not only for my own pleasure. It's based on my own pleasure. I'll totally admit.
That's why you've made that choice. It's not why you're eating. You're eating for sustenance. Why you've made that choice is only for your pleasure.
No. But the whole thing is not around only, because if it wasn't for the need for sustenance, I wouldn't be making the choice in the first place.
You're doing it for pleasure and sustenance, whereas the other one's doing it for pleasure. It's still death and suffering, I get it, but you're getting sustenance out of it and pleasure.
Yeah, and he's just getting sustenance.
And you could choose to take the vegetables and the nutrients, and that's fine.
But you can get the sustenance elsewhere. You're making the choice for your pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's the exact same thing.
No, but it's not it's the word only that I have a problem with.
No, but that's why you're making the choice. You get the sustenance anyway. The choice that you're making is between this thing that sustains me and this thing that sustains me. You're choosing this one for pleasure.
No, but again, I have no problem
or do you enjoy the killing?
I have no problem with... I'm neither here nor there on it, to be honest with you.
So it's only your pleasure that you're choosing for? That's what's making your choice?
No, not really.
What other factor is there then, between the two things that sustain you?
Okay, so here's the thing, is as far as I'm concerned, what you're saying is it's the equivalent of me saying, well, you drove here for pleasure. And you're like, well, no, I drove here because I needed to drive here. And you're like, well, you could have walked. And it's like, well, yes, I could have.
But I couldn't practically, whereas you can just have a sandwich that doesn't have meat in. It's not an equivalent.
Okay, but one of the key things
me
we're
walking
talking
would
about
have taken
there
3
is
days.
water. Like water sustains our whole body. We have got 80% water in our body. Water is actually our life force as well. We can't live without it. We can live without food for actually quite a long time, but we can live without water for a few days, but not very long. It's our life force, isn't it? And it's 80% of our body is water. We do use a lot of water to feed the animals, so there's a lot of waste going on. At the same time, it's also our waters are being polluted. Yeah. It's like we're actually polluting the planet by polluting and building like oil pipes through the waters and polluting the waters. Some indigenous tribes, and I think it's in Africa, they've got a water well right next to them, and it's been bought by a corporate chain. They can't even access that water. They've got to walk 10 miles to get water for their families, when there's a big, massive reservoir of water there that's been bought by corporate chain, so we can have bottled water over here.
No, really?
And they're dying of starvation and thirst.
You'd be fuming.
You would be absolutely fuming. You don't realise. And why are they still polluting the waters?
Drinking a bottle of water. Oh, what a prick. Mate, an African kid had to walk 10 miles from the reservoir that he lives on.
Yeah, I think
just
that's
so you could have that.
Fucked. Yeah, I think it's fucked, yeah.
Yeah, drink your Diet Coke, you fucking...
Oh, yeah, because they've never done anything
Nazi.
dodgy. Yeah, let's go to the good people at the Coca-Cola Corporation.
Exactly. Good people with good morals that make great tasting liquids.
Yeah. But like, I genuinely wish I could find an ethical argument for eating meat. I tried for a long time. I tried to find some way I could square it away. And
I've got a great one. I don't care.
Yeah, that's not an ethical argument. That's you not giving a fuck about the ethics.
No. That's no. That
doesn't make it ethical.
No, it isn't.
All right. So if I don't care about murdering kids, is it fine if I murder kids?
So listen, right? It's the ethics behind it. It's not I don't care about the ethics. It's that my ethics is that I am fine with killing animals.
Yeah, but there isn't. You haven't actually made any ethical argument there. You're just saying I'm fine with it.
Well, what are your ethics other than?
But yeah, I don't think that he's got anything else.
Well, no, there isn't.
That's the whole point.
That's the problem.
He is where he's at, and that's fine.
But the thing is,
maybe
though,
one day
but you can't claim that that's an ethical argument.
But well, you can because what else are your ethics based on?
No, but that isn't ethics. There's nothing ethical about that. You're not making an ethical argument. You're going, I don't give a fuck about the ethics. Because ethics is what you believe to be correct.
Exactly.
And good.
And what I believe to be correct is that I don't think that there's a problem with killing livestock.
But you're not basing it on anything. You've got nothing behind that other than you don't give a fuck.
I am basing it
That's not an ethical argument.
I am basing it on stuff. I'm basing it on the fact that I don't think that animals have a degree of sentience or consciousness that makes killing them morally incorrect.
Go home and stab your dog then.
You what, sorry?
Go home and stab your dog if you don't think it's morally incorrect.
What you've done there is you've taken it to its furthest possible conclusion and gone, well, if you don't think
it's almost like that's a legitimate rhetorical fucking...
No, not really.
Of course it is.
But because I don't want to stab my own pet to death...
Right, so you agree it's wrong to kill some animals in some circumstances.
Okay, so let's look at it this way, okay? If I have a child, then I can care about that child... But I don't have to care about all children.
No, but you still can believe it's ethical.
You don't want suffering to them, though, do you? You don't want a child to suffer. You don't want a child to be in starvation and suffering.
But I believe that there is a different level of consciousness and sentience amongst human beings and animals. And that's what allows me to eat meat.
What are you basing that on, though? Like, we can't possibly... Like, for example, I think an octopus is a beautiful example of it, because we can't communicate with them enough to fully understand
Have you seen
their
the octopus teacher?
A hedgehog doesn't have fucking hindsight. Do you know what I mean?
How do you know that?
Have you ever seen a cow when then the baby gets taken off it? The cow screams and moans and cries for 2 weeks.
Or watch pigs going into an abattoir. They know what's happening to the other animals. They know what's going on. They experience empathy.
And the baby cries for its mother for the whole time it's born when it's younger, and they get sent to slaughter, most of the female cows. Or if they're lucky, they get another extra couple of weeks starved on an iron-deficient diet so they can be used for veal. But all the time they're whimpering for their mum.
I mean, if it helps, I don't eat veal.
Why don't you eat veal? There you go. There's an interesting point. Why don't you eat veal?
Don't like the taste.
Right, there you go. I thought there might be a little chink in the arm there, but no, just doesn't like it.
I just don't like the taste. Just don't like the taste. If it tasted good, I would.
Yeah. Is there literally nothing you wouldn't eat? Would you eat a chimp?
Would I eat a chimp? Yes, I would.
Okay.
I'd try chimp. What? Why?
Because they're like I could, like, even when I was eating meat, I don't think I would have done a chimp. They're so cool. You looked into a chimp's eyes, it's like looking back at yourself. It's mad.
I think that, I mean, this is going to make me sound insane, but I'm going to say it. I think that there might be a scenario where I would be tempted to try person.
You all heard that live on this podcast.
I think that there might be a scenario where I'd be tempted to try a person.
Please, expand. What's the scenario?
So,
and like, we're not saying survival. Like you're saying it's like in an 8-course tasting meal.
Yeah.
And the 6th one is human meat, and you're at Heston Blumenthal's restaurant.
Absolute right.
So and I've made this taste like an orange.
So you're telling me that if there was like a thinly cooked piece of meat that Heston Blumenthal had prepared,
and it was
any meat. It was a human being. It was a human being that died of natural causes.
So flesh on a plate of a dead human being. You think that would?
I'd probably be tempted to try it. Yeah. I think that probably says more about me than anything else.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely does. I think we've just...
Our producer Finn looks absolutely horrified by this.
Prosecution rests, to be honest.
No more words. I shall sit here in silence for the rest of this podcast.
I'm not sure why, but okay, so let's say if it was the case that you had to go out and like hunt the person and kill them like Hunger Games or something like that, then no, I don't think I'd try it because right. But if it was
good for you,
but if it was a person that died
he's still not got a good outcome to what he's actually about to say now. There's no goodness in
that's
this.
The setup,
We're now talking about something completely off. There's definitely no cracking his arse open right now with what's coming out of his mouth.
So if there was right. It was a person that died of natural causes, right? And they said, hey, listen, right, as part of my will, I would bloody love it if somebody had like a little nibble of my leg or something like that, right? I would be... look, I'm not saying I'd jump on the idea. I'd be curious. I'd consider it. I'd mull it over. If Heston Blumenthal was making it, that might be the bit that sways me. So, because if it was just like... made in a pan at home or something like that, then I'd be like...
on a toasting machine.
Yeah, exactly. If it was just at home. So the bit that sways me is more the chef behind it.
Well, I was just about to ask you to join our movement for peace on air. I'm thinking taxi for one as quick as I can get out of here.
Oh, fucking hell, that is... Again, I'm not 100% sure as to why this is like, why you're all looking at me like I've committed a crime.
Because there is a very real reason why humans don't eat meat on an evolutionary basis. It fucks us up. Yeah, it can send you, like, it can, like, affect you. It can send you mad, like, the chemicals, it can send you mad.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
well,
like,
you know, like mad cow's disease, where they fed cows. Cows.
Is that how mad cow disease started?
They were putting meat in a vegetarian and a vegan body.
Do you know what?
Disgraceful.
I legitimately didn't know that. But I'll tell you,
a lot of diseases start from like going from animal to human transmission.
I'll tell you a fact about mad cow disease. In year 7, me and 2 of the boys made a boy called Andrew Murphy cry because we said he had mad cow disease.
What a fun story.
And I don't know what that is. I don't know why that.
He's purging out all his sins. Keep going. I'll hold it. Come on. This happens a lot.
This is like confession,
anything else you want to share about your time as a youngster? Maybe once we get through all these traumas, then the heart will open, and then you'll have a shift in your consciousness.
I'll come out out of this fully purged and make a connection with a pigeon or something like that.
Honestly,
listen,
one full dose of acid
in my life.
Have you ever done a psychedelic?
Yes, I have. I don't like them. Yeah. So I did mushrooms.
Where? How? What was the situation? This is how people always get it wrong.
Yeah.
Amsterdam.
Yeah, terrible place to do it. Yeah. It's busy and confusing. There's loads of stuff going on. You need to be in nature in a calm, nice day.
That's what you can do. Not take him to a farm. Take him out to be with mushroom medicine in nature for the day and let them rewire
I can do that, Fred.
These synapses and show you the magic of the universe.
So that's a good plan, that.
So here's the thing, is I used to be I used to enjoy taking drugs, right? I don't take them anymore, really. I kind of just one day grew out of it. It was just maybe I'll do that with, it's highly fucking unlikely, but maybe I'll do that with meat. Like, there was a time where I'd smoke weed every day. And then if you'd have told me during my time of smoking weed every day, listen, there will be a day where it just stops.
Yeah, exactly. You just don't know what's going to come in your future timeline.
And it was like one day I'd come back from Amsterdam and I was like, nah, I'm not having it. But
psychedelics are a really different
they're not
thing
drugs
to other
either,
drugs.
they're medicine.
Yeah. Here's the thing as well is a mutual comedian friend of ours has been trying to get me on DMT. Mm-hmm. And I have wanted to try DMT.
Comes from mushrooms as well.
But my problem with DMT is that it brings out and it amplifies your state. So you have to be in a good state to try it. Now, I know what I'm like is I'd try some and I'd be like, am I in a good state? Is this a good state? I just feel not.
Yeah,
is this an all right state to be in?
Yeah, but like,
am I all right here?
Honestly,
I'm not in a good state. Am I in a good state? And I would work myself up to be in a bad state because I'd be so conscious about trying to make sure I was in a good state that I'd feel bad.
That is probably what it would break through, though. And that's the thing, like, people misunderstand psychedelics as being like, oh, it's either a good trip or a bad trip. And I don't think there's any such thing as a bad trip. There's good trips and there's difficult trips. And those ones often teach you far more. And you come out with them, like, you might have a fucking horrible 12 hours, but the next 2 years of your life will be amazing. Like, it'll transform you. Like, it's honestly, like, it's, people just do them wrong. People do them at parties or in someone's basement, and it's like a horrible, sketchy experience. They're not that.
They're beautiful.
They're not like
magical,
a party drug. It's
and can give you so much revelation in your life, guidance, show you very clearly. This needs looking at. You've missed it. It's in your blind spot.
So, what sort of experiences have you had, Claire, on psychedelics?
Well, I went into the jungle, didn't I, and had a massive deep dive in the jungle.
Sounds amazing. Perfect place to do it.
Yeah, it was.
Surrounded
and
by nature.
The environment has to be held by someone who can hold the light and hold a strong frequency of love and peace so that you can feel safe enough to journey. Because what comes through then was just your fear, making a story up, and your ego saying, oh, but I might have a bad trip in this. And that once you get through that, you'll see that the mind calms, and then you get the inner wisdom coming through. But I've had life-changing journeys with these medicines that have put me on the path that I'm on now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be here where I was. I was out taking drugs and partying and in the corporate chain, selling and working for, corporate in the corporate wheel.
Oh, really? So you, so the path of psychedelics kind of changed your course.
Changed my direction, completely for the better, and put me in a place of feeling peaceful, calm, connected to nature, more in my body, less fear, more joy, and actually I'm feeling the healthiest I've ever felt. Like, feel the healthiest I've ever felt in my entire life. And every birthday I celebrate that.
Do you know what?
No, good on you. And like, same thing for me. Like, I used to, like, genuinely, it's what stopped me drinking was like...
you were a nightmare
no addictions.
drunk.
I was a nightmare drunk for ages. And I used to drink
you were such hard work.
a lot. And then, I
remember at Dan Nightingale's wedding, this guy was really drunk. Sucked off a man as well.
This is a different story to the one you've heard.
Also as well, I was at Nightingale's wedding, right? And I like to dress all right when the moment takes me, right? So I dress like a homeless person now, but at a social occasion, you should see me, Claire. My God.
All swagging.
And I was wearing a nice suit, right? And this fucking drunk reprobate, I had a glass of red wine in my hand that I paid about £7 for as well, but not that was the issue.
This is the issue.
And I was holding this and I was just sipping it and having a lovely time. And this fucking knob cheese backed his arse into me from a distance of about maybe 15 feet. He started hopping and backing his arse into me. Like some weird horny bunny rabbit.
It's been dead fun.
And I was like, well, he's not going to back his anus into my crotch. That's something that no right-minded human being would do. So I'm quite happy with my glass of wine here and my expensive
What we're
suit.
saying is Freddie had plenty of warning, plenty of chance to move, and chose not to.
And what happened is Rob backed himself into me and I covered myself in wine.
Yeah.
And I was furious.
Yeah. I was having a great time.
And then you sucked off a man afterwards. So
even if I did, it's fine.
Yeah, good for you. However you want to get your life force. Does cum have life force?
It does.
Loads of it.
It does. It creates babies, doesn't it? Of course it does.
Is cum vegan?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Because it's consensual. It's the consent that makes it vegan.
Right.
It's like, other animals.
So you couldn't eat a pig, but you could suck one off. Is that what we're...
I'm not even commenting on what you just said.
If you could get clear consent from the pig, but you can't.
Well, this is an interesting philosophical quandary, because there is a philosophical book called The Pig That Wants to Be Eaten. Have you heard of it?
I haven't.
So it's a really good... So what it is, basically, is it's a book that poses loads of philosophical questions, like what if this was to happen, that was to happen? And one of its questions is it morally right to eat a pig that wants to be eaten? So let's say, for example, you had a pig that you knew, however you want to decide how you knew it, it wanted you to eat it.
Well, no, I want to know how you know the pig wants to be eaten.
Yeah.
And if you tell me that, then I can go with the rest of the story.
This is why it's a philosophical quandary. So let's pretend that it does want to be
a bit like
eaten.
your human that you bought in before.
Yeah.
Where you got the story from, the philosophical pig.
So let's say it wanted to be eaten. Okay, would that change your mind? Would you say it's?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. Why not?
Because I don't want to eat another living being, no matter, especially one that's suffering and wanting me to eat it. What I might do is tune in and see why it wants to be eaten, why is it feeling so low and sad and feels the need to...
Oh, no, it wasn't feeling low and sad. It was having a great day. It was dead happy. It was just
It's not quite dead yet.
It was like, look, my life's goal is to be eaten. I want to be eaten. You'd still say no because you don't want to eat it?
Yeah.
I don't know until I was placed in that very moment of a happy pig talking to me with a telepathic voice telling me I am ready to be eaten, I really want to be eaten. Will you eat me? It's my life's journey.
That's why it's a philosophical question, because we're putting it in now. So would you eat it or would you not? What about you, Rob?
I don't think I would. I don't want to.
I mean, even just the thought
that.
of it makes me whole body
I just genuinely do not want to eat a corpse.
Philosophy or not.
I just don't want to. I don't care what the pig wants. I don't want to eat a corpse.
That's interesting. Yeah. Because that's interesting to me, because I always assumed naturally that vegetarians and vegans are doing it because they believe that the animal doesn't want to be eaten.
Partly, but also I just don't want to.
Well, so I always thought that it was 100% down to... So I thought it was a universal truth that meat is tasty as fuck, and that you're doing it because you don't believe that it's right.
Yeah.
But knowing now that actually it's a conscious choice on yours and you wouldn't want to eat the meat.
Yeah, it's a shift in your consciousness that just
Once
happens.
it's
It's happened, you can't go back.
Honestly, yeah, I would just that is exactly it. It's that once that shift changes, once your perspective on meat changes like that, like it's over for me. It's like my family will be like, oh, at Christmas you can have a bit of turkey as a treat. It's not a treat for me. A bit like for me that's still horrible. You know, it's horrible to me 365 days of the fucking year.
So it's like an alcoholic with alcohol.
No, because like an alcoholic with alcohol, the idea of not drinking it is that, you know, once you have one, you'll have all of them. It's not like if I have a bacon butty, I'm worried I'm going to have 17.
You'll go on like a meat rampage.
It's more like if you suddenly realise that the taste of alcohol was disgusting and you didn't want to be part of something that you felt damaged society so badly, all this sort of thing, and then you were just like, oh, well, I'm just never going to have it again. It'd be like, it's more like that, I think.
Okay. That's... Yeah, I mean, I have been guilty. I think of from time to time being like, God, you can just have it now, can't you? Like if there's nothing else.
Oh, the amount of times you go around, particularly like, you know, grannies and stuff. They'll be like, my girlfriend's gran. We went around. My girlfriend's vegetarian as well. She'd made us a little plate of ham sandwiches, and we're like, oh, sorry, we can't have those with vegetarian. She goes, oh, they're only little. Like it was the size of the meat that was nice. The issue. Like, you know,
I've
cut them small. Oh, well, it's fine.
Oh,
now.
in that case, yeah.
I love the idea that she's gone, well, they are vegetarian, so I'll make them a bit smaller.
It was so sweet. And I felt, you know, because obviously she's being sweet. So, you know, it'd be like, not be like, that's fucking murder, you old bitch. But like, you know, it was like, you know, it's still like, no, thanks.
Really? Yeah. Have you thought about going vegan?
Yeah, I'm working towards it. I am just like shitty with it. And like, that's on me. Like, I don't think it's necessary.
I think that makes you a worse person than me.
Yeah, probably.
Because at least with me, I've gone, I don't care about this. I would more than happily kill an animal.
Actually, no, think about it. Definitely not. No, definitely
I've
not.
made my peace at the point where I'm comfortable with.
So not trying is better than trying.
Rob, the hypocrite, knows that it's wrong in his head. He just doesn't want to do anything about it.
Well, I do something about it. I eat most of my meals are vegan now. I eat like things a lot less regularly. I've worked it right down, and I'm working towards completely removing animal products.
And I agree with that because everything's in transition. Like for some people will have a dramatic shift and they'll never be able to eat it again. But most people go through transition. They give up something, then they have a little slip, and then they give up something. Then they feel the rewards from that. They feel better, more energized. You know, they get the shifts in their health, and it's a gradual process of transition. And he's in his transition phase.
Do you know what? Now that you've said that, my other half is in a weird transitional phase like that, where she started to eat less animals. So she...
Always big up to anyone doing that.
So we actually went to a farm.
Ooh, it's all coming out now. This is
a while ago. And there was a dude with loads of pigs, right? And she felt an emotional connection to the animals.
Pigs are beautiful animals, man. They're so nice. I love pigs.
Literally zero... Like, and again, I'm not saying this to be like callous. Well, maybe I am. But I'm saying it just... I literally do not have... whatever it is when you look at an animal and you go,
but I've heard in your words, actually, through this podcast a few times, I wish I did feel something. It's almost like you see other people and you want to feel that. And I'm calling that in because it is in there.
Oh, of course. I would.
It's like a robot who wants to learn how to love.
Yeah, it genuinely is.
What is compassion?
How does corn taste?
I make a banging corn roast, you know.
There's no such thing as a banging corn roast.
Make a banging one.
None.
Honestly, I make
absolutely none.
You sort the mushrooms out and bring loads of healthy, amazing vegan food in, and I'll keep sending you fluffy videos of gorgeous little cute animals in their natural habitat.
We'll work on this.
Thrown into a thresher, and I still wouldn't mind.
Yeah, to be honest, I'll probably focus on my attention on someone who's got more of a chance.
Well, here's the thing. Going back to my missus. So she saw these pigs. She had this emotional connection with them, and she started to become Well, right. So here's the thing. She's not vegan.
She's veg curious.
She is veg curious. So, like that. But she's been doing this for, I would say, nearly 12 months now, because I originally thought that this was going to be a phase and it was going to be like, right, great, we're back to eating nice food again. But she will not eat pork. She will categorically not eat pork, and she has cut down her meat consumption by about 80%.
Cool,
so it's not something. I think she just really enjoys meat, and so it's not something that she can completely cut out. Also, as well, because of her life, and she works shifts and she works long hours and she does long, 12, 13, 14-hour shifts sometimes. It's not as easy just to grab a vegan healthy alternative.
Yeah.
And occasionally she'll just go, oh, fuck, and then just eat it. But consciously, whenever she has the option to choose option A or option B, she will choose the one that is the least suffering to animals.
That's great. I mean, this is exactly why I created the business I run now. High Vibe Nutrition is for people like
Let's
your
plug
missus.
it. What's it called again?
Yeah, but this is what it's about because it's fresh, healthy food that's there, like on the go. You want to go to the KFC or the McDonald's or the Subway, the High Vibe Nutrition. People call in and just get their lunch, their snacks, their juices. It's all made fresh and it's fast, healthy, convenient food.
Nice.
That's the vision, is to get more.
So last night I made, I love making food, right? I love food. So last night I made sorry, did you just...
Nothing.
Yep, okay. For the benefits of the people who are only listening to audio, Rob pointed at me.
I did a fat shaming mime.
And that just shows what a piece of shit he is. Quite frankly, you can.
I care about animal rights, but not Freddy's.
Exactly. You can. That's exactly it, you fucking prick. So I made last night a sort of like a ragu bolognese over some tagliatelle, and it was fucking beautiful. And I put some pictures on Instagram like a prick. What are you making at the moment? What sort of tasty foods is there?
Oh, we've got Singapore noodle.
Vermicelli noodle.
Oh,
shit, son. Do you know what? I get that vegetarian.
Yeah, it's dead nice.
At the Chinese, I get it vegetarian. Purely because the Chinese restaurant, I should say, that is actually owned by a lovely Malaysian family. So we're all learning. Yeah. So I actually get vegetarian Singapore vermicelli because I prefer it. I prefer the crunch. Yeah. And also as well, I tend to find that sometimes they throw things in Singapore vermicelli that don't quite, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a fan of cubes of meat.
Oh, yeah, you're not sure what meat it is.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, shit! I have eaten dog. So how
long are we into this fucking podcast?
So when I was in Bali, there was street vendors in Bali. And you know what it's like. You've been over there.
I thought you meant the Singapore noodle. I thought you were being sarcastic.
No.
Actually referring to you have actually.
So you know what it's like in the street vendors and stuff over in Asia. They are like so it's the most. You've not been to Asia, have you?
I haven't. No.
It's the most beautiful, tasty food in the world, delivered off a cart that doesn't even deserve 0 food hygiene ratings.
That's where all the best shit is.
But you look at it and you go, how the living fuck can you make something as delicious as that on that? Like, it makes me want to take whoever it is, this little old Chinese woman or whatever, it makes me want to take her and put her in a Michelin star kitchen and go, just knock yourself out, love. Because if you can make that on that, then you are a literal genius, right? So we're at this, I was in Bali, and I was at this street vendor, and it had a massive long line, and the dude that I was with said, look, this person does great stuff. Every day they come and it's different and it's fresh, and for like the price of like 12 pence, you get this big fuck off bowl full of ramen and egg and this fucking blob of meat, right? So it was like a circular meatball of meat, right? And so I'm tucking in and I'm going, this is really nice. This is
the place where lovely. I need to leave.
You know, yum, 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 I'm eating it. And then the dude takes a little bite out of it and he goes, oh. And I went, are you all right? And he went, I don't know whether or not to tell you. And I went, it's all right, mate. Like, I thought it was a problem with him. Do you know what I mean? And he goes, okay, this might be dog. I was like, I've eaten 3/4 of this.
Yeah. Like, why is that? Like, I don't think that it's, I any more repulsive than eating a pig. I just don't see the difference at all, to be honest. I don't see a single difference.
Well, I think it's because in growing up in a Western society, we have been culturally programmed to look at one thing as food and one thing as animal.
That's a construct. That's not real.
Yes, that's what it is. We've been put in a construct, and the meat industry sold us a good story saying that we need protein from meat, and that's the only place we get it from.
When you say it's not real, it's a construct. The construct makes it real. So the actual construct itself isn't real, but it is the lens with which we contextualize animals.
Sure, but you can just look. You don't have to.
You can refocus your lens.
You can just look yourself.
Okay.
You don't have to look through the lens they're giving you.
But
you can use your own eyes.
But I am quite happily to consciously look through that lens.
Yeah, because it's comfortable.
And
it's uncomfortable to look at the truth of it, isn't it? It's uncomfortable to look at the suffering behind it, the destruction.
Look, so here's the thing: is if I genuinely thought that killing livestock that has been bred as food is wrong, then I would be a hypocrite if I continued to eat meat. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't, and so I therefore see no hypocrisy on my part.
Yeah, but hypocrisy isn't the only problem.
No, but
it's like, again, like, you know, you could be not hypocritical and still be being
I'm fine
negative.
I'm fine with the killing of animals. Yeah. I know that's horrible, but I am. I'm fine with the you know, if I ever had to kill one myself, I would. And so I don't see there to be a discrepancy.
Yeah, no,
I think I'm
discrepancy.
acting in my own moral compass. Now, I actually think that if you don't think that killing animals is acceptable, if you're not comfortable, and I also believe as well that if you didn't feel comfortable killing an animal yourself, I think that you have a question to ask about whether or not you should. And I think that's reasonable,
basically,
isn't it?
you're saying all those that don't give a crap about killing animals and eating animals and how they die or the suffering on the planet, they don't care, that they've got a good strong moral compass because they're admitting it, and all the ones that actually have a bit of a heart and a bit of compassion but they still eat it but they're not quite sure, and they're the ones that are more...
In my head, yeah. I know
that's a really good story
mental.
You've sold yourself to get you out of all.
It's a real fucking round the houses justification, isn't it?
But you could see. I mean, you can see my thought process.
Well, those people are nearer to giving up eating animals than you are. That's what I see. Because they feeling the compassion for it, but still they're in their condition and in their
but I think that
construct.
If you can't, I mean, I think that that's a good barometer. That if you would not feel comfortable yourself in killing a chicken or something like that, then you should not eat chicken. I think that is a really good base rule.
Don't at all.
Why?
Because it doesn't matter whether you feel comfortable with something if it's not okay. It's like saying if you've, I don't think that's a strong argument at all. If
you were going to go down a really horrible analogy and then you stopped himself. He went, "Whoa!"
Right, we'll bail out. But no, I just don't think that's. I think that's a thing that we've again convinced ourselves of that isn't actually. It doesn't matter whether you think it's okay for yourself to kill it or not. If it's not okay. You know?
Because in your head you're saying the animal's still suffering.
I think the animal has a right not to be killed and tortured.
And we're still using up all the resources on the planet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of suffering on the planet through people eating the animals that have been
people in the West
tortured.
Massively using those resources, and it affects people in poorer countries
and also
worse.
it does affect your health.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? That's the one thing that I think might have swayed me, right? So I'm not somebody who can the climate change aspect of it doesn't register with me. The ethical suffering thing doesn't register with me. The health thing, on the other hand, let's say I had I know, suspend your disbelief.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say I had a health issue.
You?
He's such a prick, isn't he? Yes, mate. Rob.
Right.
Rob, you need to really
remember
the...
I'm trying to imagine what you'd look like pre-diabetic, and it's just it's such a leap.
Remember the...
Inflammation, arthritis, it's hard to imagine.
I know.
Remember the... Don't you bloody start, Claire.
I fucking love you, Claire.
Remember...
We've got an opening. We're not going to let this close. Get in there.
So remember the state of mind that you had to be in to answer that philosophical question about the pig that wanted to be eaten.
Yeah.
You're going to have to use the same sort of mental
Okay.
Gymnastics.
Freddy's out of shape, right? Okay.
Yeah. Try and think of me, right, as an unhealthy entity.
Okay. Right.
Right. Okay. Now, let's say I had some health issues and my diet, somebody said, look, you've got,
arthritis, diabetes, heart problems, inflammation.
She's just looking at your aura.
Just let's say you've got all of those.
Let's say I've got all of those.
Because one leads to the other. And autoimmune disease is also there as well.
And a doctor said to me, it's because you have a bad diet. And you eat lots of meat. And a better option for you would be to eat more lettuce and cauliflowers and shit.
That's literally what they're already saying to you.
No, they're not.
Well, they should be doing. Your doctor is irresponsible if they're not.
But at the moment, I'm not ill.
Have you
yeah, but why would you not want to prevent it?
Have you watched What the Health?
I haven't noticed it.
What's What the Health?
What it talks about, like,
she's got a glint in her eye now.
It's talking about, like, they do scientific tests on what meat does in the body when you eat meat. It shows how it affects the blood flow, the oxygen levels, the testosterone in men. There's so much data on it, and it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's on it, and he's basically saying, yeah, we told to eat loads of meat, and then he's saying it's a load of cock. Basically,
like, you know,
watch it. It's really good.
Till you've got the disease to do the thing that's gonna stop it, because like we know that it's healthier for you to eat more plant-based stuff than it is to eat meat. Why would you wait till you've already got the colon cancer to sort it out?
It's the kind of person that I am, Robert. I have recently purchased a house. We had a home buyers survey. On the home buyers survey, they said that fucking roof needs looking at. I am going to wait until that roof collapses in on me one night before I do anything about it. I am going to... And
that is a very apt analogy for your diet, to be fair, isn't it? Just every time you put a Twix in yourself, it's like another drip coming through the ceiling, isn't it?
But that's just who I am, and I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah, I do think that's true.
Yeah, they are, because I run a health shop, so I see those people that have just had that doctor's analysis coming in saying, I need help, and my diet's poor, my health is suffering. What can I do about it? They're the type of people, and loads of beautiful other people that come in because they just want to eat healthy and eat some good quality food. But we do get a lot of people that have got ill health through their diet and their lifestyle, and they're coming in looking for sustenance.
Okay.
And my recommendation is don't wait for that to happen. The thing that can happen is if you start just eating a bit more plant-based food, if you eat food that tastes good, you won't mind. If food tastes good, you'll enjoy it. If it's more plant-based, it naturally creates a shift in your body anyway, because you naturally feel better. Your weight will fall off, you'll have more energy, and then you'd be like, actually, this is not actually that bad, because I feel good. And
I have been genuinely surprised by how many like amazing meals I still have, like as a vegetarian. Like, it's
talk me through them.
Well, like
amazing meal number one.
Mango Thai curry.
What?
Mango Thai curry.
Oh, now do you know what?
There is a Thai place near me that does amazing stuff.
Do you know what?
Vegan stuff. It's so good.
In Thailand, they have a staple dish, mango sticky rice, and they swear by it, and I think it's fucking horrible. I could never get on board. Did you try mango sticky rice?
I'm not big into the mango.
Well, we created meals from all over the world that people love to eat. That's what I did. I just was like, okay, take something from Thailand, something from Mexico, something from India, and just made all those meals out of it.
I'm going
to send you, guys, a box of vegan, 100% plant-based food. Would you be up for a little challenge?
Shut the fuck up. Yes, I'm up for a challenge. Yes, I'm up for a challenge. Go on. What's the challenge?
1 week of plant-based food, breakfast, lunch, and tea. That's all you got to do. You can add other stuff into it, but no meat for a week.
I feel like I've been triggered here.
Yeah. No meat for a week.
I wasn't expecting this, Claire.
This challenge is such a piece of piss for me. I've basically got to not have pasta with egg in for a week. That's about it.
And
You've basically just done HelloFresh. That's what you've fucking done.
I'm just going to get some fucking free meals. I'm delighted.
Yeah.
I'm well excited to try stuff.
And I'll include your girlfriend in that as well, because she's on a journey. Amazing. And then you can both enjoy the food. So all you got to do 1 week, healthy, plant-based food, and just give us a little bit of feedback on how you enjoyed the meals and how you felt.
You can't say fairer than that, Freddie. Come on, that is a good offer.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. Mate, I feel like I've just been asked to do a skydive or something. Like, genuinely. It's like,
let's clear the triggers. Do you like Singapore noodles? Do you like chili?
Yeah, I can eat that
for
a week.
Curries?
I do like curries.
Well, that's all the food we do. All those gorgeous foods.
Oh, okay.
Pad Thai,
Okay.
Thai quinoa.
1 week, Freddie. Come on, you can do 7 days.
How about this? This is what we're going to do, right? So I'll do. Oh God, I can't believe I'm agreeing to this. I will do it, Claire. Not only will I do it, I will vlog it. And we will put it on our Patreon channel as exclusive content.
Yes.
So a week.
Claire, that is such a bigger win than I thought you'd get today.
A week of me eating vegan food, and I will vlog. Because the thing is I do really enjoy cooking. So
I know you enjoy good food, and if it's good food and it tastes good, you won't miss the.
Do you know what?
I won't vlog it because it'll just be a normal week for me, but I'll just be having nice food.
To be fair, you are pretty much on the money there. Because one of the things for me is that I really enjoy food, and my enjoyment of the food is my biggest driving factor. So I'm not gonna eat meat to spite anyone. I'm not gonna like if I had a choice between I make a vegetarian bolognese with lentils and shit. I guess it's a vegan bolognese.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
No, because I put parmesan on top.
Well, that tiny little bit, there's a shift there, but it's basically
close enough.
So I do make a lentil bolognese, which is good because the lentils soak up flavour like a motherfucker. Yeah. If I had a choice between that I'd made or a steak that had been made well done, I would choose the vegetarian thing.
This is interesting. This is part of what helped convince me, because my diet was so bad. I'm just like, I'm a northern scumbag, so it's just, I've grown up on that crap food. So like a big thing that helped me as well was I just started trying all the like meat alternatives. I had a burger from Burger King that was so close to their normal burgers. I was like, I cannot justify eating the meat one.
Really?
And like, mate, I'll make you a Beyond Burger sometime. They are unreal good. They're made out of peas, and they are so good, and they're juicy and flavorful.
Have you ever seen Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that bit where
Ron Swanson
and Chris Traeger have a cook-off, and one of them makes like this brilliantly made burger with like a jus and all this stuff. Honestly, and they're eating and they're going, "This is lovely," mate. And then this dude just comes along and just makes a hamburger and just slips it out. And they go, "Yeah, that's better. That's better."
I promise you, Beyond Burgers are nicer than like the beef burgers at McDonald's and Burger King and stuff like that. They are nicer. They're just nicer. They're tastier.
I will make the commitment to eating vegan for a week.
And then at the end of it, he's eating human. On day 8.
Oh, cancel that house.
And this is a person who has willingly admitted on this show that he would try human flesh if the parameters were right. I'll try it for a week, and we'll vlog it. And we'll put it all on Patreon as like exclusive content. And if you want to watch it, then you go over to patreon.com/pigoted, and we'll make it available for all of our subscribers. So you can subscribe for as little as £3 a month. And also you get loads of extra shit, and you're supporting the podcast as well. Before we go, very quickly, what would you like to plug, Rob?
Just find me on YouTube. I've got like stand-up specials and loads of stuff like that. Rob Mulholland, YouTube.
Now, what would you want to plug, Claire?
I'm from High Vibe Nutrition, ways on how to raise your vibration, feel good, live a better life, feel nourished, and check out my Instagram page, High Vibe Nutrition.
And we'll put links to all of that in the description on Facebook as well. Guys, thank you ever so much for coming on.
It's been loads of fun.
And we'll see you
pleasure meeting you, Claire.
Soon. Bye.
Cheers.
This episode of Pigoted is sponsored by Taylor's Toys. Taylor's Toys are a sex toy company. They specialise in doing high-quality sex toys that won't fall apart after 1 or 2 uses. Head over to taylorstoys.co.uk, check out the amazing range that they've got on offer, and if you use the discount code PIGOTED at checkout, you get yourself 10% off on all products. Taylor's Toys. Spice things up in the bedroom. Thank me later.